Welcome to Gaming in the Past. Many of us know about how the PlayStation started out as a console for Nintendo before Nintendo went with Philips to make the CDI. Some of us know Sega rejected them too. Well anyway, during the early years of the PS1, there were quite a few games that felt like that bridge between the Super Nintendo and the N64. Like games that were too powerful for the SNES, but not quite N64 levels of power either. N64 versus PS1 is a whole other topic that I won't be getting into today, but I will be getting into the game for this episode. That being Total Eclipse Turbo for the PS1. Total Eclipse started life as a 3DO game, coming out in early 1994, a little before my life started. It was later ported to the PS1 as Total Eclipse Turbo in 1995 as a launch game. Get it? Because the game is a space shooter? That's what they were going for, right? Well anyway, let's look at the game. The back of the case says, "The more you kill, the better you feel." Rated E for everyone. Ah, this was made by Crystal Dynamics, the company that made Gex, Tomb Raider, and other games, including this game. Yes, these cutscene graphics have very much aged, but you gotta remember, this was 1994 and 1995, where these graphics made people crap their pants.
At ease, Lieutenant. I'm not gonna blow propaganda smoke in your face.
Nice. Why can't we put this guy in charge of video games today? So what's the gameplay like? Well, this was a 3DO game, so... that's about maybe what I expected. This is an auto-scrolling or auto-moving rail shooter, that's what it's called. This is a space rail shooter with gameplay that's very similar to Star Fox, except it's not that. It's a bit of a reverse situation from the Super Nintendo Star Fox game because here, your ship appears to be 2D sprites while the environment and most enemies are 3D models. And right off the bat playing this game, I can tell you that the controls get their feelings hurt way too easily. Because these controls are extremely sensitive. I realize this was a launch game, so there were no joysticks on the controller yet. But man, this game could have benefited from them, as these directional pads do not help with the sensitive controls. Like, you can tell I'm trying my best to be careful and not fly way off course. I even changed the controls to the arcade setting and it still doesn't really feel right. The shooting controls work fine, but the movement sucks. You can rotate your ship, along with the camera with barrel rolls, but these are more dizzying than helpful. You can control the speed of your ship, which is helpful in certain situations. But, so far, not the best first impression. Your goal of the game is to navigate through these levels while blasting enemies and watching out for their attacks, as well as watching out for the environment, as bumping into that can kill you too. The visuals are a 1994 3DO game ported to PS1 in 1995. Fog everywhere, as usual, but it's not quite as bad here as some other PS1 games. When you're not doing that, you're traveling through these tunnels where there's not as many enemies, but it can be a very tight squeeze to get through it. Wouldn't be as bad if it weren't for these sensitive controls. Hope you enjoy what you see here, because this is what you'll be doing for the entire game. There are 20 levels, or rounds, in the entire game across 5 different worlds, with 4 rounds per world. The 4th round of each world ends in a boss fight, and then we watch more of these cutscenes between each world. Oh, but I hope you love that black space fog, because that's all you'll be seeing. The looks of the environment changes somewhat each time, but other than that, it's just space for the fog and sky. Some other things I haven't talked about yet are the power-ups. Your standard ship shoots standard sci-fi bullets and standard limited bombs that kill every enemy in front of you that's on screen. You also get these powers to improve your ship's gun power, as well as refuel your bombs, health, and lives. You also regain health by killing enemies, like the kid-friendly phrase on the back of the case implies. And that's it. That's the entire game right there. What you're seeing right now is all there is to offer. Fly through these areas, trying to kill enemies before they kill you, which gets quite hard after a while. Fly through these tunnels and fight a boss at the end of the last round of each world. Rinse and repeat for the whole game. Look, I didn't quite know what to expect from a 3DO game ported to PS1 as a launch title, but I did expect something a little better. I mean, I don't know what the 3DO version is like exactly, but this one has the subtitle Turbo in it. I would assume this would be the better version of the game given it has that name and the fact that it came out like a year and a half later. So if this is the better version, I don't know if I'd even want to touch the original version. Even if this is a weird situation where the 3DO one is the better version, it's still not a good game overall. If you were to tell me that this was on the Game Boy Advance and the frame rate and graphics were scaled back just a tad, I'd say, wow, this game isn't good, but it looks impressive for the GBA. But no, this is a PS1 version. I'll cut it a little bit of slack for when it originally came out, but not that much slack. It needs tough love. Oh, and if you're wondering how I got past all these levels and was able to show off these later rounds despite how bad the controls are and how cheap the game is with death, I use cheats. There are passwords they show for the beginning of each world, but there's also a level select cheat to select the exact round you want to go to. So I did that instead, though I still didn't beat the final boss because screw this game and its cheap deaths and lack of more checkpoints. So, would I recommend this game? No. Unless you're trying to collect all PS1 games or at least all launch PS1 games and you don't really intend on playing it longer than a few minutes, I wouldn't really recommend it at all. Before I finish up, I want you to look at when this version of the game, which is what I played, came out. I assume this is a reprint to have the jewel case for the game, but I have one question. Why didn't they give this reprint joystick support? This was reprinted in 1998. Gex 2 is advertised on the inside of the case and on the back of the booklet. But instead, all it is a reprint of the exact same game with no updates as far as I know of. It was literally just for the jewel case. There was a sequel to this game called Solar Eclipse, released in 1995 for us in the US and 1996 elsewhere. It looks like it had a bigger budget and looks a little better. But given that the PS1 version was not released here in the States and the Saturn version is probably way too expensive along with the Saturn itself, I think I'll pass for now. And that's all I have to say about these games, at least for now. I know it's a bit of a short one, even after I've stretched it out a bit to make the video a little longer. But in any case, I'm Danny Benes, and this has been Gaming in the Past. Thanks for watching.